Hi, I'm Amy from Digital Royalty. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media measurement. There are two important things to do when you're measuring your social media efforts. Number one, establish KPIs, key performance indicators. And number two, be consistent about tracking and measuring those KPIs. So at Digital Royalty, we recommend that you establish at least two KPIs within each of the following categories. Number one, volume. Number two, engagement. And number three, conversion. So, back to number one. So the goal is to establish at least two KPIs that reflect volume metrics. So these are number of fans, followers. This could be anything from tweets per minute, trending topics, anything that represents reach and frequency for the most part. Engagement then is a little bit warmer. When you're thinking about engagement, you want to actually think about the level of engagement your consumer or fan is having with the brand. So this could be retweets, subscribers, for example on YouTube. It could be sentiment, and we'll talk a little bit about how to measure sentiment in a minute. And these are things that people are actually using to spend time with your brand. So time spent, comments, likes on Facebook, for example. Most of the insights data that Facebook offers on their back end is indicative of engagement type of metrics. So conversion, which are often the most important or the most coveted type of metrics, would be, of course, click-throughs. So if you have, if you're using a bit.ly URL shortener, for example, tracking those that activity, and also if you have your own web analytics program, tagging your URLs, so jump tags, finding a way to make sure that you know that specific link and its relative activity to where you've placed it that differentiates from other places. So click-throughs, this would be leads generated. Of course, sales, and anything that's showing actual activity and action. So the key is to choose and find at least two metrics within each of the following categories: volume, engagement, and conversion, and track them on a regular basis. So to take all of those metrics and arrive at a number that's meaningful that you can track over time, Digital Royalty has created a formula we call the ROI formula, and it's return on influence. So the return on influence formula is comprised of two specific types of metrics. The cold metrics, so these are the old school kind of traditional web analytics that you use with your analytics programs such as Omniture, Google Analytics. These are typically reach times frequency divided by time spent, which is indicative to most media buyers as the engagement metric. So that could be page views times uniques divided by time spent, but this is where our volume metrics would also be. So what we were looking at earlier with volume and conversions, those would reside on this side. So then if we look at the warm analytics, these are the social media, more warmer kind of intangible types of numbers that we've always had a hard time measuring. So these would be sentiment and ecosystem size. And sentiment is obviously the affinity to a brand, the positive, negative, neutral emotions, feelings about a brand. And at Digital Royalty, we use a tool set by Spiral 16 called Spark to measure sentiment. It does a great job of identifying the positive, negative, neutral nodes within your ecosystem. And ecosystem size is also a metric that we use that's based from Spark and Spiral 16. If you think of the online universe as just a big data universe, and then start to dig down and narrow down to the data just relevant to your brand, that is considered your ecosystem. So the size of that ecosystem is relevant to social media effectiveness, and the ecosystem is constantly changing, growing. So if we take sentiment and ecosystem size and have your warm analytics and then your traditional web analytics metrics and the types of things we talked about earlier with volume, fans, followers, retweets, conversions, things like that, and you combine them together, you get your ROI, return on influence. And so this is a number that can be measured week over week, month over month, as often as it makes sense for you and your objectives.